Uzi play here because we've seen them target his champion pool. He's happy to go back to Ezreal. No way. Kalista. The lock-in for Uzi in the bottom lane. RNG say, you know what? We're going to win game 4, and we're going to do it quick.
Yeah, Kalista is one of those champions that we just don't see a lot of at all. Really dropped off just because laning phase focus just didn't exist. The special used to be the Kalista Thresh. Of course, Kalista Alistar is another one that you could still look towards, but later on in the game gets outscaled pretty heavily. But if you have this much of a front line from RNG, she's going to be pretty safe.
It's very disappointed. They've got the blue and purple combo of the bottom 4 picks for RNG, then Swain just messes it all up with his cool red and black. We'll have to see what the final pick from Snake is going to be, though.
Maybe he has a bluish skin in game. We'd never know. It's a possibility.
Final pick from Snake is going to be Flandre's pick top side of the map. You talked about it in game 1, Rez. He could always pull out the Kleptomancy Shen. No idea if that's going to be the Keystone Rune, but that is going to be his champion heading into the top lane against Cho'Gath.
So he knows he's going up against Cho, which is a good lane matchup for the Shen, which goes back towards that question of Kleptomancy. You can go Klepto Shen and just try and get as much gold as possible for himself. Only problem is that usually the Klepto Shen is also tagged up with the support item for Bandit procs, but he's not going to be able to get that for himself. So I think he just goes Grasp of the Undying, has himself pretty deep into the Resolve tree so he can find himself not getting pushed out of lane.
Well, you also got what you wanted, Raz. Guogua picks up Vladimir in the mid lane. It's not going to be Flandre's pick this time around. Instead, they get a real tank.
I'd like to call this the Do and Be composition. Because back in Xiaogu, yeah, we keep traveling back in time because when Xiaogu,
we got it.
Okay, it worked out. He didn't drop his papers too. Would have been a mess.
You can't do that, Raz. You drop your papers in front of the other coach. He sees your strategy. It's all over.
Oh, it's over.
Look, they all have photo. They're either reinvigorated, Raz, or they've converted a couple of the RNG fans over to their side because Game 3 was a fun one to watch. Kept Snake's dreams alive. They're now back onto the red side. We just lost 100% of the matches in this series so far.
And look, when you see Baron steals like that, when you see team fighting like that, I'd swap too, man. I'd be a turncoat.
Yeah, when you see calls like that as well, teleporting into the bottom lane and not going for Baron.
Hey, few people would respect that, all right?
Like who?
Crazy people.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of crazy people, all right?
Swapped over to the Snake side.
You're making an assumption that there's not that many crazy people here.
Well, you know, there's you, so that's quite a few already in this room.
That's fair. I'll take it.
Look, we're all a bit crazy, Raz. A little bit of invade coming out from RNG here, though. Move over towards the blue buff of Snake's side of the jungle. SOFM was starting on the top side. He'll pick up his own red buff. Now does he go straight to RNG's blue?
He should just take his own red buff because, I mean, I'm talking about MLXG. MLXG, you're right, of course, going to be taking bot side, while Skarner should be taking enemy blue because we're in a position where both have just swapped sides in the map.
If Trundle some access to the bottom side of the map, if Uzi and Ming do get pushed in, he can use that to his advantage. Now SFM has been spotted out by a ward as he moves in towards the jungle.
I would say it shouldn't be too meaningful unless if Let Me is willing to take the trek, but he's doing so well in lane that he really shouldn't. I think this is great for RNG as a team. Means that Shen can't take advantage of course, the aggressive laning phase, and he loses a lot of gold too because he can't just taunt in with the Klepto that he does have for himself. He did pick up Klepto. So right now, Shen is playing back when he wants to be going in for these skirmishes.
Really needs SOFN to unlock him on the top side of the map. Let's see if he can. Scuttle Crab is cleared out by Trundle, bottom side of the map, so it clears all of MLXG's jungle on the bottom side where blue buff is. Taking a look at the runes being picked up by Flandre, we already mentioned. He is a Kleptomancy Shen.
And the difference here between what was being played at 8.2 and now is that now Resolve is a little bit better for him. Go Chrysalis and now Bone Plating. So before it was Second Wind, and whatever it was, I actually cannot remember at this point. I feel like every patch that comes through, you just forget a little bit of what Resolve really looked like.
Oh yeah, every patch you take a different rune dance. Such is League of Legends.
Sad face.
But does get the extra health from Chrysalis. We'll be able to convert that into some damage later on if he gets the 4 takedowns. But we'll have to keep track of that top lane matchup. MLXG took his Raptor camp and immediately moved into the bottom lane. Undetected at the moment. Level 3 for Hutia as well as Crystal.
There we go.
They're going for the fight. Jumps on top of Tom Kench first, trying to lock him down. He is going to get locked down. Stunned as well. Grey health going to get popped. Is that enough to keep him alive? There is an exhaust sticky on Uzi.
Tower.
Rips out the spears. And first blood picked up by Uzi.
There was a possibility of it being turned around just because Ming was able to take one tower shot. But, I mean, Snake were just far too out there when they didn't have SOFM on that side of the map. So paying, I guess, supposed the large price for that.
Again, a key win condition for Snake is to go even in the bottom lane matchup against Uzi and Ming, which is tough to do. These are strong players. And to start the game, MLSG has put that in favor of RNG's AD carry.
Oh, 100%. And the best thing about getting that early kill is you're on the Callista as well. Good experience advantage off that, gold advantage. If you hit yourself that level 6 spike, then you're just going to be going there. So Snake needs to be cognizant of it. Even though they have a Tom Kench can dive incredibly easy as well.
Certainly can. But it's only given them that single kill and some lane priority there. Pickaxe being picked up nice and early by Uzi. Rotates straight back into the bottom lane. And it's been a quiet game besides the sides of the jungle being swapped between MLXG as well as SOFM. The early gank that we saw come out from MLXG as well, targeting Hudia quite nicely. Crystal's gone back to base and he's picked up Ninja Tabbies for himself. There's still patch 8.6, not 8.7, where the changes were made to discourage AD carries and picking up the item over and over again. But should work quite effectively against what is a low damage AD carry.
Yep. Just trying to keep up in lane, so you're right about him just trying to play this one out defensively. I think it's a good call. What he does need to worry about is just getting to that road to level 6. I think he has at least some iota of safety. Shen, of course, once he gets to level 6, already close to that mark, should be able to help them out being able to do that. The spellbook on Guoguo, once he swaps out for TP, they have a good defensive strategy versus what is the dive composition RNG have for themselves.
He's still holding on to heal at the moment. Crystal reloads, gets some damage onto Ming. Shield comes up from Braum. Stops some more damage that comes out from Jin.
And Braum's always been a good pickup against the Jin. The shield has been a really large deterrent, of course, for Crystal walking up with the 4th bullet. Walks up with 4th bullet, wall comes up, and of course both members are safe from the damage.
Even if the curtain call is going to be used by Jin later on, the Congo line can get made behind Ming, puts up the shield. Nothing's going to happen from Crystal's ultimate anymore. But the focus has been entirely on this bottom lane. Mid lane, there is a little bit of a skirmish. Guoguo takes some damage, heals it back up from transfusions. Bottom lane is where SOFM is trying to target at the moment, has Predator available. Picked up his boots in his first pack. Tiamat was the first item from MLXG as well on this trundle. Not going for the double Hunter's Machete.
I suppose a smart decision from him. I like this from MLXG specifically, knowing that the pace of the game, sustained matchup mid, tank matchup top, and of course, all eyes are going to be on bottom lane once they hit 6. He can farm up really well for himself, until he has to start facing SOFM. And honestly, Trundle has been a really strong pick versus Skarner, so he should feel comfortable there.
Well, Trundle's in the bottom lane again. Pillar is going to separate Hutia, and it's going to be another kill picked up by RNG. This time, MLXG gets it for himself.
Yeah, bullying the man without flash. So he's able to just flash in, knowing that Hutia is not going to be able to do anything about it. In fact, Hutia just decided, I'm going to hold on to my exhaust. There's no point anymore because I've killed myself.
2 kills picked up by RNG very early into the match, giving them bottom lane control. Top side of the map, Flandre is not unlocked. He's into a matchup against Cho'Gath, which does push in quite effectively. Has already picked up his Tiamat though, so we'll start to regain some control of the lane. Guoguo is scaling up in the mid lane against another scaling champion of Swain. So is this where we're going to be watching for this match? Are we going to have all eyes on bottom lane for the rest of the game?
Yeah, the only real, I would say, variable is the fact that Flandre plays the Shen as though he's playing a split push champion. Sure, Shen is a split push champion, but he immediately rushes the Titanic Hydra first and tries to bully tank matchups. Okay. So that's the big thing to focus on, is that they can just decide they're going to be playing towards the Shen, but it's much more efficient to play towards bottom lane. It's just rough knowing that how far behind they are, so they might have to either be creative and play towards Flandre in a Shen matchup, or say that they can turn a bad situation bottom lane by saving Jin with Shen ulti and then looking to have Jin follow up with his own ulti and try and chase him down. That's also an option, it's just much harder.
Could be fights being picked around the Infernal Dragon as well. Xiao is actually going to get slowed down here by SOFM. Stun comes through, slowing him down with red buff as well, forcing the first ultimate out of Xiaohu. Locks him back. Guoguo's coming in for some damage as well, but that's an ultimate being popped. We talked about this the last time we saw Swain being played in the mid lane. First ultimate is a crucial one, and Xiaohu doesn't get much from it.
And now he has to build it back up. At least he got one soul fragment off that, but it is a tough road to be able to get it back fully. In fact, in the first game, he really didn't get his 5 stacks frequently. He got it when it counted at the end when he did get the kill in the mid lane. But in game 1, a lot of his soul fragments were just 2 or 3. So the first ones are usually the one that count. And so being able to bait that out was crucial from SOFM.
Well, we also have SOFM working at Scuttle Crab close to this Infernal Dragon, which could be a big point of contest between the two teams. Currently, RNG have priority over the bottom lane. The 2 kills that
here we go.
There, but SOFM, here comes the ninja delivery system, gets the double taunt as well, pulls back Kalista, picks up a kill against RNG's AD carry. Xiaohu's jumped down into the bottom lane as well, but he's locked out. No ultimate available for this bird. Snake get a single pick onto the carry of RNG.
RNG didn't know how they wanted to respond to that one, so even though Xiaohu completed his teleport, Let Me said, I don't want a part of that, especially with how I was pushing up top lane. So ultimately, they were put in a bad position by a creative dive from Snake. But then they just decided that, Xiaohu also could have fell based off the response.
And Flandre is a monster. Did you see that taunt flash? Gets both of them. Minganuzi could not react.
That was sick. That was real good. So that was definitely needed. They went for the second play, as I mentioned, trying to turn a play in the bottom lane. Except they did it in a way that no one expected. Predator use from SOFM, submarine ganks, I suppose, except submarines are usually unseen, so I guess that's just a butchering of the term. But yeah, just well done across the board.
Gives Crystal some breathing room. Guoco's been able to pick up his Shirelia's Reverie during this time. BF Sword, a couple of long swords being picked up by Crystal. Whereas Uzi's gone for the Direwall special. Guinsu's Rage Blade being picked up on his Kalista.
Yeah, just a call out, because Blade of the Rune King used to be the first purchase from Kalistas worldwide. It's just not an efficient item, especially the Guinsu's getting the, I would say, change. Not a buff, but a change means that it's really beneficial to just champions that are going on hit.
Which is scary, because Guinsu's was changed to make it not as effective to rush as a first item, but everyone's doing it. Gives you the stacking damage, extra bonus damage when it's fully stacked up and you're raged.
Yeah, thankfully the base damage got reduced, so that's the biggest point of, getting the first item and having a massive spike that doesn't exist anymore. But now it just has a larger scaling factor of the scaling AP damage, so now, honestly, AD carries can just go straight towards Nashor's Tooth. That being said, Crystal.
Oh, they've locked down Hudier as well. He's forced to flash away. A lot of spears being thrown to Tahm Kench. Almost kills him, in fact. Did he get the grey health in time? Yeah, but he just didn't have enough spears in him.
Still enough pressure here to make your presence known. RNG can just go straight for the Dragon
Infernal
because
Dragon as well.
Crystal and Hudier are not going to be able to contest for a damn thing.
Whereas in the mid lane, Guoco as well as Xiaohu trading back and forth. Good damage coming out from Xiaohu, chasing forward. Ultimate gets thrown out by Guoco. Does have the Blood Rush to try and heal back up if he chooses to go back into this lane. But Xiaohu showing his mastery on this lane. And again, we talked about him. First 2 games against WE, double MVP. First game in this series, picks up MVP for himself. He's been looking really good for RNG since the start of playoffs.
Yeah.
Good end to the season for him.
Really strong from him. On Champions, we didn't expect him to do so on.
Get me out of this lane.
Are you
kidding
wait,
no,
me?
Flandre might be in some trouble. There is Chomp available for Let Me. Wants to go for it, but Shadow Dash gets in the way. No, it's got to hit that knockup first.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd say get me out of this lane, because it's just going to be 2 tanks smacking each other. But it's a Cho'Gath. Got to remember, he can kill people with his Chomp.
Yep, and Flandre hasn't gotten to a key point, or at least key item point for himself to really push Let Me back. So that's going to be something to look towards. The fact that Cho'Gath has a CS advantage in this lane, so it's a little unfortunate.
Very slight CS advantage. Flandre is going for the bits and pieces build here, though, Raz. Raptor's Cloak, Dryum's Fist, Tiamat, Potion, Ward, as well as a boot.
Now,
bit of your season 2 special.
To tell people what he usually builds on this champion, before all the patches came through, Titanic was a big one, and also the Raptor's Cloak did end up going towards a... There are 2 items for this one. Either it's going to be Banner of Command, or more frequently for him, it would be the little critters, Zerat's Portal.
Oh, no.
So yeah, that's the type of champion he's playing right now.
Little rhinoceroses?
Yep. Suicide rhinoceroses.
Well, Flandre's already got that Titanic Hydra complete, so we'll keep track of those items. Good job by Let Me. Pushes another wave in as Flandre is making his way back to base.
But he is going up against the Cho'Gath, so I would expect for him to go towards the Banner of Command.
Righteous Glory Cho'Gath as well. Very early Righteous Glory. Blue buff is attempted to be stolen here. SOFM looking to try and see if he can outsmite MLXG. Doesn't get it. Taken away by Uzi. He's the one that picks it up with the Rend.
All right.
So
Suppose he's going to comfortable on that.
Something we don't talk about from Kalista too much because we see a lot more Zai at the moment, who is known for being very good at controlling neutral objectives with her feathers. Kalista's just 10 times better. You stick in 20 spears into Baron, you're going to rip it out with more damage than the smite.
I've been wondering what the communication was back in the, let's say, meeting room. They're just talking about why they lost the game. No, we didn't secure Baron.
All right, let's pick up Kalista so we can secure Baron.
Excellent. Now, it probably didn't happen like that, but ultimately, with how clean RNG's been having in their early games, they just need the ability to secure objectives. So it's going to be harder for Snake, now that they're behind, to ever find themselves looking for these smite steals or looking for these incredible outplays. So we have to see if they can do it here.
What are these teams doing?
The moment they leave,
make it stop.
The board gets placed down.
I went off this ride, Raz.
You're here for life.
Fog of War. Xiaohu's missing minions in the mid lane. You know what, they're trying to collapse into SOFM. Guokwa gets tagged by Winter's Bite, uses the ultimate very early, but flashes over the wall immediately after.
This is strong from RNG. They decided that this river is theirs, and theirs alone. 2 control wards being placed there to control any wards that get placed down. Crystal's ward that he placed about 30 seconds ago already cleared.
I don't blame them. Next dragon's an Infernal Dragon, Raz.
That's
Sit
true.
Back, pick it up, we scale him.
Look, and while that's true, I think it's just because they're trying to get any pick they can with Uzi. On the Kalista pick, they've been trying to go for a lot of these skirmishes or team fights, and so that just means that Crystal doesn't want any part of this tower anymore. They don't know where Trundle is, so they're just deciding to play the safe way.
Remember how important it is to deny Infernal Dragon from Snake's comp.
Okay.
They're going for a fight. There's a Shen on top of that time count as well. 3 members being delivered in. Another Dolable taunt coming out from Flandre. Uzi deleted again from the fight. Xiaohu's jumping to the backlines, gets good damage. And Crystal, let me chomps him. RNG, can they pull off a 3-on-5 in the back end of this fight? Guokwa's going low. Knockup doesn't connect, but the pullback from Xiaohu does. Hutia is going to save him with the eat. Grey health keeps him alive for a minute longer. The vision comes out. Flandre with a massive taunt once more. Gets the dodge zone active. Tries to take down MLXG. Not going to be enough. And the Emperor Palpatine hands come out from Xiaohu, getting another one, pulls it back. Hutia knocked up at the tip of MLXG. Going forward, Hutia in trouble. One more attack would be enough. The vision's not going to be there. The Ripper's not going to be there either. Guokwa's jumped back into the fight. Let Me's healing off minions, but the ultimate is going to be enough to heal him back up. MLXG low once more. SOFM gets the kill. Xiaohu's in trouble, and there might be a delayed ace here coming out for Snake. Xiaohu's still trying to run away, and they give it to Crystal.
It was long enough for Guokwa to head back to base, TP for the play, and land the damage. That's how long it was. That was so dominant to start with RNG. Yeah, we're just taking a look at the absolute carnage on the map here.
Let the bodies hit the floor as everyone from RNG died.
That was great from RNG. It started really well with Let Me TPing through. Yeah, let's start right from the beginning, because initially you're like, all right, Snake, great setup. They got the kill on towards Uzi. It should be theirs to completely claim. Let Me decides, nah, I'm going to eat a man. Completely eviscerates Crystal from the map. And so the tanks from RNG do enough damage to chase 4 members away from the tower. They sense blood. Let Me's probably making the call to continue their chase. And I don't know how long I could talk about this, because although Flandre was able to get the taunt, didn't matter.
Beautiful taunt from Flandre. You got the first one onto Uzi as well as Ming, locking him down. They chase down Hutia.
This is when it gets sad for Xiaohu, because he can get a very easy kill onto Hutia, but one missed on that one, misses the W, and he's not bad enough.
He thought the juke was coming, Rez. He didn't juke.
He just thought he was probably a large enough character model to be able to get it.
Not going to be enough. But while in the replay, Rez, he dead.
That was a pretty long replay. I kind of expected that.
And we were talking about before that play, it's important to deny Infernal Dragons from Snake. It's a Jin on the side of their composition. He scales incredibly well with Infernal Dragons. So does Guokwa and Vladimir. And the second one gets picked up by Snake, equalizing the first that was picked up by RNG. RNG do, however, get the first turret, but it only equalizes the gold against Snake.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you're RNG, what you have to be facing is a Snake that's constantly looking for fights. When Flandre has Shen ulti, and he has it right now. They're trying to get opportunities where Flandre can go for these taunt engages because every single time he's gone for a taunt, he's gotten multiple members.
Spontaneous attacks from Snake.
You just can't expect it. I mean, at this point, RNG has to expect it.
It's been twice now as well. The SOFM delivery system has worked. First time with the Flandre ultimate, where he got a double flash taunt. This time through Houtia, where Flandre ults on top of Tahm Kench, delivers SOFM. No respect from Uzi. Didn't try to flash away from the Tahm Kench ultimate. Didn't try to heal early. Was killed with both his summoner spells up. He's picked up a QSS though. That's going to save him if he gets locked down again. And
look, that's probably my most, let's say, favorite Shen ulti engage off of it. Unless if there's somehow a Twisted Fate player out there that's getting Shen ultied somewhere. That was really well done to be able to secure a two-man taunt. So I want to see more of those happening.
Flandre's been playing really well. Rift Herald gets picked up by RNG. Snake can still be the proactive team in this match. Uzi, already with that Guinsoo's Rage Blade complete. Gets a Zeal as a second item. We already talked about his QSS up against Crystal. Essence Reaver completed. Should be going towards the double crit item next.
Yeah. And ultimately, getting Rift Herald is nice, but it doesn't really address an issue that they're facing up against Snake that are constantly looking to force fights. If you use a Rift Herald, you have to expect Snake to be looking for a flank potential. So the control wards are needed. 3 control wards right now on the side of RNG. 1 just got placed by Swain. If they're looking to utilize that Rift Herald in mid lane, they need to protect their flanks so Vladimir and Shen don't find themselves on top of Uzi.
Again, going to the point of the match was very quiet. We didn't see this much in game 1 and 2 because it was one-sided for RNG from start to finish. Game 3, back and forth. It looked like Snake had the upper hand. They were the one looking for the fights, trying to initiate. RNG, they have the Kalista pick though, Raz. It seems like they are the team. The onus is on them to start these fights, to be proactive with this pick, because eventually, Crystal will outscale. And he's on Jhin. He's not the biggest of hyper carries, but he can outscale this Kalista.
That's true. Front to back, especially with the Vladimir. It's just rough days for Kalista. Speaking of rough days.
Going on top side, Matt. Birdman's in trouble. Locked down by 2 members, trying to heal this one through. Not going to be enough. Pick in the top lane, picked up by Snake. But bottom lane, sorry, mid lane, they go for a charge with Rift Herald. They get mid lane outer turret. They charge the mid lane inner turret just to get some damage.
And just to take context of what's happening, how that top lane play even happened, Flandre once again had Shen ulti available to himself and tagged on to Guoguo to get the kill on the Xiaohu. So this is happening time and time again. When Flandre has his ulti available, he's been incredibly aggressive with it this game.
Which is great because, again, Flandre is a crucial member of this team. He is the big playmaker. He is the big carry. And it was quite simple. Ultimate onto Guoguo, locks down Xiaohu. That's all they wrote.
Yeah. Which is good from RNG that they were so quick on the mid lane push, or else they wouldn't have gotten anything. In fact, they would have been in bad position where Guoguo and Flandre would have been in a flank, but they already pushed their Rift Herald towards the mid lane, got that tower, so it turned into a trade into an rather than an outright advantage.
And look at the win conditions for Snake again. Unlocked their first SOFM. He's 2-0-5. Flandre's playing out of his mind. Doesn't need to go for those deep flank teleports if he has a Stand United available to protect his team members. Guoguo's doing well. He's 4-2 as well. Rabadon's Death Cap picked up with the Shurelias. They've got a team fighting team comp. They can find these spontaneous team fights. But most importantly, bottom lane survived, Ras.
That's true.
They lost their turret, but Crystal's nowhere close to being out of this match. He's matching items, or damage items at least, against Uzi. Rapid Fire Cannon Essence Reaver picked up. He's only missing a QSS against Uzi's Kalista.
Exactly, and the fact that Uzi had to go towards the QSS because he was constantly getting taunted and will very likely get pulled by SOFM, he needs to build defensively, and because of that, the gold advantage that Uzi had is suddenly has to go towards the defensive item.
Slow down Crystal, looking for the initiation, throw out Braum. SOFM's trying to charge in. There is QSS available for Uzi. They eat up Houtia, jumps in, immediately QSS. Is that Captain Jack or is it Uzi? Doesn't matter. Uzi is the best of both worlds at the Omen. SOFM gets taken down. Ming's taking some damage, gets away from the curtain call. And RNG are looking for mid lane. Flandre hiding in the bush like a true ninja he is. Flashes forward. Winter's Bite slows him down. Ming lives. MLXG chases Flandre out of there. They keep their support alive.
Yeah, has to feel hurt on that one. That was an auto attack canceled. He could have been able to complete it, but just a mechanical failure.
Single pick onto the jungler of Snake. Pixel perfect cleanse coming out from Uzi against the ultimate that came up from SOFM. And they turn immediately onto the tank.
Yeah, they likely didn't press tab to see the QSS there. Otherwise, he would have held on to it. That just means that his ulti was ultimately just useless. So taking a second look at this, here's the thing. Jin has flash, doesn't want to use it just because they want to bait for this play. The QSS being immediate is also pretty impactful just because that means that he's able to constantly output the damage onto SOFM.
It wasn't even SOFM's ultimate, it's just the stun.
Ah,
Instant QSS, I believe, not even from the stun itself, but just the slow portion.
wow.
Uzi didn't even need to use it. Seems like SOFM was doing the right play of trying to threaten with it, try and bait out that QSF, but Uzi just created way too much distance for himself. Gets away, kites it through. 2, 2, and 1 now. Picks up a Hex Drinker as his second item.
So now it just comes down to the fact that Snake as a team need to think about how they layer CC on towards Uzi, especially when he has flash, because if he gets hit by a taunt, he can immediately cleanse flash to get away from the SOFM pincer. That's the thing that they want to look towards. It's going to be so much harder to suddenly get the kill onto the sustained damage of RNG.
Cloud Dragon does get picked up by RNG, locking down another objective for themselves. Baron buff is alive, and it is an objective that this time RNG can play around quite successfully. You've got the Chomp from Let Me, you've got the Smite from LXG, and you've got Kalista in your team comp. And our Spears can secure that quite effectively.
That's true. Right now, if you're Snake, the only way you end up coming out ahead a lot of these times is just from an outright team fight play. Not being able to take Uzi is one thing. I think they have this then swap focus on towards Xiaohu. They were able to kill him quickly when it was just a 2v1 in the top side of the map. I think they can do that again when they have more members.
But it's just going to be RNG splitting apart the map again. Let Me's in the bottom lane, split pushing. You'd expect Flandre to match. He's got a Trinity Force res.
That's true. He also builds Trinity Force in the Klepto build. He gets so much gold that he wants to be on side lane more often than not.
And look at that. His entire series, he's plus 23 CS at 20 minutes against Let Me. Yes, he might have had a couple of priority matchups. Flandre is a huge threat. There is, however, MLXG going right behind him, already using his Shadow Dash trying to escape. MLXG denying some of the resistances. Let Me looking for another knock-up, doesn't connect. Flandre with the blue suede shoes. No flash available, doesn't matter. Gets away from the gank.
Yeah, eats a lot of that pressure. Hitting on towards the CS difference that he usually gets, it's usually 10 CS at 15 minutes into the game. So he's usually ahead, not this large, and it's mostly in part in the styles of the team. The fact that Snake is focused so heavily in the top side of the map, or at least in their top laner. Meanwhile, RNG is a team that probably put in the least amount of effort in getting Let Me ahead. So
my eyes didn't deceive me. Flandre also just picked up what I believe to be the Elixir of Skill, which allows him to level up one more of his ability. So he has a rank 3 ultimate. Well, now he's ticked over level 16, doesn't matter too much.
okay.
Don't mind me. I thought it'd be pretty cool if he was on 15 with a level 16 ultimate for a while. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I wish, you know what? When I go home tonight, I'm about to plus that replay button. I expect some of you YouTube viewers to do the same. That'd be pretty damn cool, I'll tell you right now.
Doesn't matter though, he's 16, just going to continue split pushing against it. Let Me at the moment. Banner of Command, making Cho'Gath's life difficult. Smack it! With your little hands!
He doesn't have that. Okay, I guess he does have little hands.
He's got tiny hands. He's like a dinosaur.
He has a massive spike at, like, near his head.
Sure, but his hands are tiny.
I suppose so.
Smack them with the spike then. If you've got a spike, you might as well use it. Look, they're fighting, Raz. This is exciting. Tanks. Get him.
He's just backing up his boy. Big body cannon minion. Look at him. He's just actually just... He's not even focusing on the tower. Get over here.
That's it. Shen's able to take down the bottom lane turret, pushing with his Banner of Command minion. Snake now 2,000 gold in the lead. Despite RNG's proactive plays, they still hold on to the advantage. More Mount Mortius is complete for Uzi nice and early. Xiaohu still stacking up his soul fragments. One more till he's at 5 stacks.
And right now, Snake just needs to focus on clearing the vision. There's one ward that's near the pit. They don't see it, but they should start putting a control ward. I guess the only ones that have a control ward is Tom Kench. They're starting to realize that their bases are needed here so they can get some control wards.
Tom Kench picked up a locket for himself. Crystal picks up a BF sword as his third item. Probably going to go into an Infinity Edge. But Gorgor is massive. He doesn't have his Zhonya's at the moment, Raz, but he's got decent cooldown reduction. I believe he's at maximum CDR. He has a Rabadon's and a Void Staff. With the Shurelias to try and get into the backline, swapped out his teleport for Ghost too.
He just really needs the Zhonya's for himself. The moment he gets Zhonya's, then he's at a really good spot in these team fights where he can just go ham.
And that's where Snake tried to fight. use the Stand United on top of Guo combo.
And that's usually where it's too difficult to find yourself ever focusing on towards the Jhin. Just the AD carry of Snake. Just because once you have the ability to just throw the Vladimir in there, even if you had exhaust, and by the way, RNG do not have exhaust, then he can just buy as much time as possible, find himself Zhonya's, and then constantly just back him and Shen up, so then Jhin can just work on the front line going forward. Opting
for the Ignite instead to mitigate the healing that will come out from Guo during these fights. Uzi's going to have quite a bit of healing for himself as well. More Mortius when he gets low, that will pop the lifeline, give him a decent amount of healing. He's got a Vamp Scepter for himself. Could build that into a Mercurial Scimitar, or perhaps move into the Blade of the Ruin King early and just sit on that QSS instead.
Yeah, that's the truth. He just has to worry about the range that Jhin has for himself. Now that he has 3 items in which his 4th bullet's going to really just pop a man. So you have to watch out for him.
He's got decent crit as well with 3 crit items already picked up. These other 3 bullets are going to hurt.
Yeah. I wonder what his next item should be. Most Jhins at this point, if they're going crit Jhin, they just go for a static shiv, so another Zeal item. They could do that, or he can look across the field and see that there's a lot of armor on the side of RNG and just go towards the penetration.
This is very scary, though, for RNG and RNG fans, because Snake are the team that should be pretty happy going into late game, if I'm not wrong. You've got a Vladimir, a double tanky front line, and a Jhin.
Yes.
RNG have a Kalista. That tends to fall off towards the late game.
Yeah, and that's why you look towards what Kalista's building for herself, the on-hit nonsense, the defensive item of Mercurial... Trying to figure out what that item's called. Malmortius. Good lord, I was going to call it the Merc Treads Scimitar. Thank the lord.
Merc Treads Scimitar.
Yeah,
Get
just build it. Immediately get it. But Uzi has that for himself, which means that he's not going to be able to deal the damage getting 2 defensive items. So I would say 40 minutes into the game, he's going to be in real trouble. He's not going to be the primary damage point for his team.
What do RNG do? Infernal Dragon's up. They could try and force a fight there, but do they want to force a fight?
Yes, if they have vision control, they can start to pick Fudia and move forward. So they need to start thinking about them as a pick potential composition. So start with one person and move on to the next.
They looked for it there with Xiaohu trying to get the grasp. Predator has already been used by SOFM. Xiaohu is not in this fight. He's in fact over the wall, and Flandre with a double taunt in the back lines. Uzi's left untouched, but they pull back the main tank from RNG, trying to take down Let Me. He disengages, gets away. Guo now going in for the flank himself. Pops the ultimate. Xiaohu wants to jump back in, pulls back Guo into the fight as well. Stand United coming out from Flandre. He's fairly low jumping into this one. This looks like a good fight for RNG, and it pops. Xiaohu with the kill. They throw Brom in as well. Slams down the chair, gets the knockouts. RNG win a team fight.
That was difficult to swallow from Snake. The fact that it felt so good from them, even the taunt, but they didn't have damage to follow it up. And that's why my eyes go into Guo because he pulled into the middle of 4 people, but didn't have his E, so there was no damage to follow up on. He actually just had to disengage outright.
And they couldn't kill Let Me, Raz. SOFM pulled the tank back in. If they could kill the Cho'Gath, it would have been so good. He's now at full health. Feast is coming back off of cooldown. SOFM is here. He has to try and make another Miracle Steal.
Smite and Rend, they just have to focus on the fight.
Curtain call.
Jhin ulti.
He's trying to curve the bullet. Can he find it? Doesn't get it. Blocked by Let Me. 3,400 hit points. SOFM's looking to try and jump in. Does he go for it? No. The Rend is enough. Over 1,000 hit points. It doesn't matter. RNG get the second Infernal for themselves and get a team fight. On top of it all off, a Baron buff to boot.
That was just a big confusing point. Snake thought they had a really good look on this one. But this is where I have to look towards Guo because he was going to be the primary focus of damage here. So he gets his E across, I suppose. That's how he starts the fight. So when he pulls in, he realizes that he's already used it, and he can't do any more damage towards the back line. You're right about Let Me, because the moment he's disengaged, look at how much HP he's just regen for himself. So their primary pick has just found himself at 60% HP when the re-engage starts.
It's just cleanup crew for RNG off the back of that fight. They're only about 1,000 gold in the lead. They pull it back in their favor. But now they get to really try and utilize that composition. What was a lackluster Kalista has now got 4 items and a stopwatch. Rats looking towards the Guardian Angels, the final item for Uzi. And normally, you look at a 6-item Kalista and say, you know what, our AD carry outscales. But currently, Snake's AD carry is sitting on the last Whisper. Half an item. 3.5 items complete.
And look, if you're a Jhin, if you're looking at a very massive Cho'Gath, there's not much you can do. So while Jhin does incredibly well versus Squishies, having to deal with that massive HP tank.
Ooh.
I don't see it happening.
Ripping back Guokwa again. SOFM bringing the main tank to the back lines. RNG decided to go for a fight. Letme's taking up a lot of damage. Uses his own stopwatch. And Xiao, who is tanking the turret. And once she gets that first kill, Uzi diving in. They throw in Ming as well. Crystal takes one back. They lock down SOFM. Guokwa is in stasis. Silence as he comes back up. Double kill picked up by Xiao, who they want to meet IG in the semi-finals. And there's only 2 members of Snake left alive. Make that none. Double kill for Uzi.
Yep, you could see them in the back already out of their chairs and excited for this one because this seems like it's already game.
Normally you do not escape the Snake pit alive, but Snake are the ones that have to travel to Shanghai. RNG look dominant in games 1 and 2. Snake fought back for game 3, but it's all over, ladies and gentlemen. RNG, they booked their spot at Rift Rivals, and most importantly for the team, Uzi is now 1 step closer to picking up his crown.
And here's the thing, feels like it's a little bit scripted because the team that took the first set versus Invictus Gaming to start the season are going to face them in the semifinals to go towards that finals, of course, in the play.